Welcome to the Shelter FootyCast live from the BackChat Studios. That's the Southern Riverbound boys out of Thornley. Thank you for that one. You got me today, so I have been roped in. Will Schofield's away. Myself and Mark Reddings are in. And I am hosting today. So
this is brilliant.
I haven't done a run show. I've been doing BackChat and all these things for now nearly 3 years, and not once have I had to look at a run sheet or prepared anything.
Well,
so,
not much has changed today, Hammer. It's great to have you in the pilot seat. I'm just the co-pilot.
This could go anywhere. So if you are a fan of the regular programming here at Shelter FootyCast, this could be a little bit different. But I've got to tick a few things off. Obviously, you can find us at shelterfootycast.com.au, socials at shelterfootycast, footycast at backchatstudios.com.au, YouTube, BackChat, Shelter FootyCast playlist. There's a lot of stuff to go through there. But anyway, welcome to the Shelter FootyCast. We're WA's best footy show and WA's best beer combined to bring you all the footy news and preview round 18.
You are
pretty happy with that?
A hosting MC virgin, but it's great to see
you've happy with that.
You jumped into the hot seat without any qualms, without any run sheet, and going bang. It's been a bit of a rough start to the morning.
I've had to
honest.
call Rach 4 or 5 times. You left your key. You got locked out of your own house.
Locked out of my house, which my wife went to Pilates. Forgot that it was. I was just coming back from exercise, and it's great that it's only 3 degrees outside. I'm sitting there for 45
Sunny.
minutes. It was freezing. Anyway, going beautifully. I was a bit dressed for casual, but no, we've got a bit to talk about today, Hammer, and I'm fascinated to hear some of your thoughts on the Eagles, the Dockers, and some of the bigger issues in footy, which we're going to get through as well. And we've got all the numbers, of course, today for Aspect Accounting. So when we go through each match and give you some stats, our friends at Aspect Accounting, it's just the start of the new financial year. If you want to get anything done with regards to your tax or financials, they are the people to see.
Well, I thought I was the host. But anyway, thank you very much, Skeet. Let's just jump straight into it. We'll get to some big stuff of the round. The big moments of the round so far. I imagine you guys have already spoken about this. The AFL mid-season tournament.
I think we've talked about it. Guess what? If Scully has mentioned it, I don't pay much attention to what comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, I had an idea about it on BackChat. You can go back and listen to that. I basically gave a 10-minute spiel about how it could work. It can't work like regular football. If you're going to do it, it's got to be mini breakdown, round robin things. I think it's not going to happen. Are
we jumping at shadows just because we've got a season where we have the top 9, bottom 9 set up where it's a bit of a case of outside of the 9th club, 10th and below have got no chance? Is that why we're getting all up and about our wildcard rounds, in-season tournament? We're sounding very much NBA. I put it this way. I think highly unlikely this will get off the ground in the short term, even the medium term, the in-season tournament. Wildcard round just feels like it's got a little bit more traction for next season or beyond, because I think this year the AFL are looking at it. So, yeah, I think because of the disparity between the top and the bottom, we're getting a lot of talk at this time of the year.
Yeah, I think it's obviously jumping at shadows. I think because the NRL is going, they've got their State of Origin stuff, that's flying along at the moment. They've got Magic Round, that goes well. And then you look over at America and they're all doing these sort of things. But the game's different. Our game isn't really set up to have this style of in-season tournament. So I don't like it. I don't think it'll go ahead. But if they are going to do it, it's I think they'll just go ahead and do it anyway. The fans have said probably not, so I imagine the AFL will just do it.
They're talking big dollars, though. Something like $5 million.
Well, that's the only way they can do it. If there's enough money on the table, players and clubs will be interested in it. So they'll figure that out. What else have we got? I'm hosting, Skeet, so shut up. Adelaide has been fined a total of $7,500, while Ben Keays $5,000 and Josh Rachele $2,500 have also been fined for wearing metal studs after receiving multiple warnings from the AFL.
Yeah, look, I hadn't even thought about what studs are worn by players until this year because...
Well, Toby Green said it, that he wore metal studs in the first half of the game at the SCG. I remember I used to umpire junior footy as a kid for a little bit of cash on the side, and it was... you'd walk in there as the umpire, and like you'd line all the kids up on the wall, and it would be boots up, and you'd just go and have to feel.
They'd check your fingernails,
and then just check all the studs, just make sure there was no metals out there. But obviously they're not doing that anymore. I don't see, like, obviously it's an issue if you get studded and get stabbed with a metal stud, but fix the grounds. Don't fine the players. Take that money and put it into fixing the ground so you don't have to wear metal studs.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure how Jack Darling suffered his injury against Carlton. I think Jack Silvani accidentally, obviously, spiked him down his sort of near his shin. That was quite a serious injury from something which seemed innocuous. But in your knowledge, how many players... The moulded soles are what? 90% of players just wear those? Is that how it works?
I would say more than 90% of players wear moulded
soles. What's the alternative to moulded soles?
Screw-ins.
And how many would wear them?
Very little. I don't think anyone at East Perth wears screw-ins. I can't remember anyone at West Coast having screw-ins.
And that's in heavy conditions, I'm guessing.
Real heavy conditions. Yeah. But even with the screw-ins, though, you can have screw-in mouldeds, I think. You don't have to have the metal. You just need them. You just need to have a little bit longer, just so that if you're playing on the SCG and you don't want to fall over, you've got basically cleats that'll stab the ground.
And by the way, let's just give the SCG a bit of a chop
it
out.
went very well.
It went well last week, and even when it was going no good, or shizen as they'd say the week before, there's still 200 points kicked in the game. So, look, thank goodness, because the curator of the SCG, I think he copped a bit of flack and he was a bit bruised by that. So they bounced back. They've bounced back and they've done a terrific job.
Only took 6 months to get over Andre Pacelli, and the 10-10 has been out there, but that's all right. What else have we got on the big news? Club C, Rowan Marshall is gettable if Tom De Koning joins the Saints. Talk about that later. Essendon interested in bringing Liam Ryan over. He's contracted for 2026. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Is it?
I would have thought...
Are they interested in him?
Well, I would have thought Liam Ryan. I've said 2 or 3 years ago that Liam, if I was the Eagles, I would have seen what interest is elsewhere for him. That would have been my... And I've been told constantly that he would struggle away from WA.
Yeah, he certainly would.
Yeah, so, but, you know, if you're a professional footballer, that's part of your bargain. Essendon, if Essendon's looking at Liam, now, I don't know his exact age. I'm guessing he's late 20s. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, so I reckon he's 28, maybe 29.
Yeah, so either way, he's in that area where he's still got some good footy left in him, I think, and he's been pretty good for the Eagles this year. I'd venture...
He's 28.
Yeah, I'd venture to say he'd be in their top 10 of the... I mean, and this is very hard because they've been...
Well, Tom McCarthy's going to be in the top 10 after 3 games.
Exactly. But Liam Ryan Essendon, well, I don't know. Is that the sort of player they want? I don't think he'll go there. I don't think he wants to go there. I think he wants to finish his career at the Eagles, but he might not get the opportunity at the end of the year. The Eagles might do a real sweep of the experience. You got Oscar Allen, you got
Gov's out, Sheed's out.
So there's a lot of experience gone. Whether you need to lose all your experience, and Kelly's obviously re-signed.
I don't think Liam will go anywhere for what it's worth. I think he'll stay. I just think Essendon. It's not what. Why would they? They're not looking for a small forward of 28 years old who can pinch hit in the midfield. They're looking for a young player that's going to help drive that list forward because they're nowhere at the moment.
Agree.
Righto, there's some other things in there we'll get to in a little bit. I'm sure we'll touch on that as we go along. The other one, the Derby preview show, Leederville Hotel, Wednesday, the 23rd of July from 5 p.m.
I'm doing that.
I'm not hosting that. You're hosting that.
Well, we're doing a live radio show there, 6 p.m.
World of Sport.
But you're part of the panel. I'm not sure whether that's on air or not because we have to be some fruity stuff that you've been involved with at the Leederville Hotel.
Absolutely.
So yourself, Will Schofield, Lee Spur.
Glenn Jakovic, Scully leaked on air once was coming. I think he said, who else was going to come? I don't know. He said the whole West Coast Eagles list will be there.
So it's BackChat Live combined with World of Sports on Wednesday the 23rd of July. And I think certainly on radio we're giving away some tickets to go and see that.
Yep.
And you get the first drink on us and then hopefully have a bit of fun listening to us talk some crap.
And I think I've given away, I said something about if you were there from opening. I think it opens at 11. The Leederville. So if you're there and I think I said if you have 2 pints an hour until the live show starts, then we'll give you something. But that's just me being silly, so don't worry about that. What else? That's about all I've got for the ad reads. I'm flicking between. So
Froth Town's coming up, is it?
I don't know.
Froth Town's big. Scully keeps telling me that Froth Town, the Claremont
Froth Town's massive. To be honest, I'm going to disclaimer here. We couldn't get Google Drive on my phone or a computer.
And obviously looking at me.
And I'm the host. So I've had to go to Tony's computer and take photos of all these things. So I'm not scrolling down, I'm swiping across. I've never hosted this before. I don't know the ad reads. For all the sponsors out there, we love you. I love you. Shelter, the best. Aspect Accounting, I still need to do my tax return, so I'll come and see you guys soon. Obviously, I love Cal and the Southern Riverband boys. But if I forget anyone else, it's my first time, so let me be. Righto, we'll get to everything else later on as we go along. Let's jump into the football. What have we got tonight? Today's Thursday. Tonight is going to be a bloodbath at Marvel, I think. Carlton versus the Brisbane Lions. Who have you got in this one, Skeet? Can Carlton do anything other than lose this game by 10 goals?
Well, what we do know is that Carlton, this sounds a bit too technical for the stuff that we normally talk about, but their scores from stoppages and their time inside forward 50 have just dropped off the planet. They have just completely capsized.
What's the reason? Well, obviously, I think I know a reason. Patrick Cripps has touched the ball like 8 times this year.
Yeah,
had 45 votes in the Brownlow last year, and he'll be on 0 right now.
Yeah, he's struggling. It looks like he's cooked. He's not cooked because he's obviously a great player, and he'll find his way back to some form, you hope. But yeah, some of those the contested style of footy, which Carlton have been so renowned for, even their better elements of their game has just drifted. So, and we've got to also address the fact that Michael Voss yesterday was forced to front a press conference, having had a sort of a death threat laid against him, which is...
Yeah, the police and the AFL sort of just seem to say, don't worry about
They've
that.
identified, I think, the culprit. They've identified him. But I think they're looking at more a case of a lifetime ban from the AFL. So whether it was a direct threat on his life, obviously it was just a crap act. Some
let
coward.
Him be.
Yeah. So bottom line
they're
is,
really bad, but you don't have to say, I'm going to kill you. Like let him.
And you know what? Not just that. Michael Voss is a super footy person.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the
no question, champions of the game.
Integrity, he's got all the elements that... So on that basis, they're going through a fair bit at Carlton as we speak. So tonight, what's a good result for them? Getting beaten by less than 5 goals. That's my gut feeling.
Just one on Patrick Cripps, just to go back to him. You said he's a champion, he's going to bounce back. There's been a few over the last maybe 5 or 6 years where you've had really, really good players that have just fallen off a cliff and never looked back. Andrew Gaff springs to mind straight away. He was a champion at West Coast, was the best winger in the competition, and then 1 year came back and wasn't anymore and never got better and retired. Is that something you can see happening with Paddy Cripps? Can you see him? Because he was at the highest of highs, one that set the record for the most Brownlow votes ever and has looked the complete opposite of a footballer this year. Obviously, there's a lot going on with the footy club, but I'm worried that if he stays at Carlton or they stay like this, if he doesn't freshen something up, that he could just flounder and then give up and retire.
Yeah, there's a bit of talk that the Eagles might try and get him across as a trade. Look, I don't think Paddy Cripps is what the Eagles need myself.
No,
I think
it'd be great for leadership, but
yeah, that from the football aspect. Yeah, I'm only thinking that he needs some support. Sam Walsh is obviously out.
Yeah,
Jagger Smith's a young kid who might have just freshened up the midfield. He needs some support in there. That's to come. Look, I just think he's been doing the hard yards for a long time. I don't think
he's been doing a lot of heavy lifting.
I think we've got to give him the opportunity to get.
Oh, no question.
Get back as opposed to saying he could be done.
Right, just a question floating out there. But on the flip side, we've got Brisbane. So Carlton are obviously having their woes and they're nowhere at the moment.
Yep.
But Brisbane are silently flying. I think. Very under the radar. Collingwood are the team that everyone's trying to chase. Brisbane are sitting in second.
All you have to do is finish second. When I say in the AFL, if you're looking for the double chance and home finals,
all you need to do is finish
you can finish the top 9 of premiership, that's great. But finishing second essentially allows you all the luxuries.
The same luxuries.
Exactly.
They're sitting second. They've got a wounded Carlton tonight.
Yep.
And I just don't see this... 5 goals or less would be a result for Carlton. I don't see this going anywhere close to that. I think Brisbane are going to blow the pants off them.
Yeah, well, the numbers also for Aspect Accounting back that up. Brisbane has lost on the road just once this season. That was to Adelaide in round 13, and from memory, they should have really won that game.
They kicked 0 goals, 6 or something in the last quarter, and
yes.
then Zach Bailey kicked about 4 out in the full.
They butchered that. The Big O is back, first game since round 9.
Yep.
You're right. They've got so many parts of the game, and Zach Bailey, who's coming off 27
oh my goodness,
disposals, 5 go, just a gun. So, yeah, I think Brisbane, their record at Marvel's very good as well. I can't see them losing tonight, just a question of the margin.
Well, the line's only 26.5 at the moment. I don't know if we can talk about that on here, can we?
We can talk about what you want.
Well, there you go. That seems very unders.
It does. Given their record
that,
at Marvel, given how Carlton's tracking, they don't play Marvel that well.
Given how tight this top... So, the other thing, given how tight the top 8 is outside of Collingwood, so the top 2nd to 8th, how tight it is, percentage is massive, and Brisbane's isn't great. Brisbane are on 114%. They are... So, GWS have got, in the top 8, Brisbane are the 2nd worst percentage. GWS have got 112, then Brisbane at 114.
But how
they're
far
only
ahead?
2 points ahead of 5th. So they have to win this game by a lot to boost that percentage up because they're not safe. They've got that draw against North Melbourne in the bank.
That's true.
And so they're 2 points in front, but they've got a lot of work to do to keep that percentage up. So I think tonight they're going to go in for the kill and they'll belt Carlton.
Yeah, I'm tipping Brisbane. I think they'll do it pretty comfortably.
Yep, I'm tipping Brisbane as well.
And the margin, it's just a case of keeping your players healthy as well between now and the back end of the season, and Brisbane to win comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. So now we move on to Friday night. Speaking of teams that are just in scintillating form, we go Collingwood versus the Gold Coast Suns up at People's First. This is a real test for the Gold Coast Suns if they're going to stamp themselves as, I think they've locked in finals just about. They wouldn't be far off locking that in, but. To be a contender, these are the teams you got to beat. So,
and this is the first Friday night game that the Gold Coast Suns have hosted at the Gold Coast.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is the first Friday night match they've held there.
Ever?
ever. Yep, by all accounts. Yep.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, so it's
no one's going to really fact check that, so you could say that with
No,
certainty.
it's true. It's
you could
true.
say that with the utmost certainty.
No, this is their first Friday night game at People's First Stadium, or call it what you want prior to that. This is their first. So it'll be a big occasion. Magpies, of course, big draw. It'll be sold out, which is a rarity on the Gold Coast in itself. And the Suns, what we know is that they are pretty hard to beat up there. Mm-hmm. They've got a very good midfield. Matt Rowell is playing beautifully still. He's got that Noah Anderson as support. Ben King has been 12 goals from free kicks this year, 3 more than any other player in the AFL. He's going to have his hands full on Friday night against a Collingwood side that, from a playing perspective, still Sidebottom to come back most likely. Lockie Schultz also from that hamstring, a chance. Bobby Hill's the interesting one. Of course, he's missing another match this time through illness, but there's some stuff happening behind the scenes with Bobby, I believe, that has meant that he hasn't played a couple of matches in the last month because of personal reasons. And
the luxury with Collingwood is you don't need to rush anything, though.
No.
There's no reason to rush anyone back. You've got Lockie Schultz, who's coming off an injury.
Yes.
Bobby's obviously working on his own stuff. Still, Sidebottom's old and you can manage him. There's no rush to do anything. You're clearly sitting on top. With the exception of a train wreck, you're going to finish top of the ladder and get 2 home finals and play in a grand final, most likely. They are so far and away the best team in the comp, and everything they do works. There's not... I don't think at the moment there's a flaw in their game that you can really pick apart.
Do you think they're beatable, though? If not now, in 3 months from now?
I think they are beatable, but it has to be absolute best, because no matter what you throw at them, you can throw a real punch, but they weather it, they absorb it, they've got the experience to say, yep, we can bounce back, and they're never out of a game.
It feels like they're more complete in 25 than they were in 23.
Absolutely. I think with that, their experienced guys haven't dropped off. So your Pendleburys, your Sidebottoms, Tom Mitchell's back now. Darcy Moore's only gotten better. Tim Membry's added to that. Mychek's obviously still there. But all your experience hasn't dropped off, and your young players have just got 2 years to be better. So Nick Dacos is a 2-year better player than he was when he started, when he went in 2023. Josh Dacos is a 2-year better player. And all these young guys that are just popping up out of nowhere that are, stars. And they've always find ways. Ronan Steele, they picked from West Perth in the mid-season draft. He came in and slotted like he was just playing. Ned Long, who was he 12 months? Who was he? Yeah. And now he's a star.
He's playing midfield. Just quickly on Ronan Steele, were you surprised he was picked up or in the mid-season draft, or did you thought, oh yeah, this is a good savvy pick?
Savvy pick. Super quick, really skillful, very talented. Wasn't playing unbelievably good football because West Perth were struggling and his position on the wing was, made it hard. But you could see glimpses that this guy was a talented player. So I think it was for a team like Collingwood who can just say, well, this is not a free hit, but let's have a go at him. He adds a lot. So he's a talent.
For aspect accounting, just a quick stat: the Magpies have won 5 of their last 6 matches against the Suns at People First Stadium, going back to 2015, margin of 41 points. And for what it's worth, as much as I think the Suns are a very good side at home, we just talked how good Collingwood are. I'm not deviating away from them for the moment. They'll keep tipping them until they lose one.
Yeah, I can't tip against them until they win. I think everything on that team at the moment. Darcy Moore's the informed fullback, just about of the comp. He's got a real task against Ben King, but I think he's up to it. And no one is better in the competition at the moment than Nick Dacos, and he is. I think he dominated up there last time, had 30-something and kicked 2. So I'd be expecting him to go, or maybe Matt Rowell to go to him to try and stop that a little bit, but it's near on impossible. Hopefully Matt Rowell doesn't get any more and hits him with the umpire, because I think he's going to get. But didn't they say they were going to suspend him if he does that again?
Well, he's got. I think he had 4. Yeah, I think he's getting close. He's sailing close to the breeze. He said he's not going to change his style.
Yeah, just get out of the way, umps. Stop running in his way.
Yeah, or maybe just a bit of both. Just make sure. But I think there's a bit of shielding, a bit of the part of the tactics, isn't it, between midfielders now to use the umpire as a bit of a...
It is, but I spoke to Scully about this on BackChat not long ago. Do you know, imagine playing basketball, you're shooting a free throw. You are maybe 10 feet from the ring, maybe 12, 15 feet from the ring, and you shoot up and you can get it relatively around that. What's stopping an umpire at a ball up from standing behind the midfielders, let's say 4 or 5 metres away, and then lobbing the ball into the rucks? It's like a mini boundary throw-in, but a ball up. That way you don't have to back out of the way. You can see everything in front of you, and you're not going to get run into.
So there's obviously abandoning the bounce.
You've abandoned at ball ups. Centre bounce play on.
Yep.
Centre bounce you just have to do that.
Yep.
But you can also no, you can do that at centre bounce. You'd abandon the bounce.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. So that's
I
what you're looking at.
don't mind the bounce, though. I think keep that, but don't do it at centre bounce. But at ball-ups, they get hit at ball-ups all the time. Matt Rowe's done it a few times at ball-ups as well. Just lob it over them. That's what I think. Okay. Anyway, Collingwood to win for me.
Magpies for me.
Now we move on to Saturday. Do we have to stop at any point to do a sting?
Well, occasionally we say, this is the Shelter FootyCast with Skeet and Hammer.
There you go. Well, thanks for that, Skeet. I'll do that next time. Might do that. We've got 4 Saturday games that we'll rip through. I'll do that after the Saturday.
There we're on track.
And then we're back. So we've got first cab off the rank Saturday. I like this because they've only got 2 games that overlap. So the fixturing is nearly perfect. We've got Saturday morning, we've got the Western Bulldogs hosting the Adelaide Crows. The Bulldogs are your $1.61 favourites over the Crows at Marvel. How do we see this one?
We see this as being a good game, but the Dogs in pretty good nick. Adelaide with their 3 tall forwards who are a little bit quieter last week against Melbourne, but, Thilthorpe, Fogarty and Tex are going to be, pretty important. I think both sides play the ground very well, particularly the Dogs. So there's no question on that front that, this has got a fair bit attached to it as well. The Dogs are still trying to consolidate a spot in the 8. The Crows are top 4 prospects on that front. Dogs have won 4 of their last 6 matches against the Crows by an average winning margin of 46 points. So I know it doesn't count for much, but it is just an indication of where they're at. Aaron Norton playing some decent footy. Sam Darcy, speaking of the tall forwards for the Crows, what about what
Sam Darcy? No one can stop that bloke. Will Dawson did it for 2.5 quarters and he still kicked 4.
Yeah.
You can't, he's
Is he getting run? Was he getting run under? There's a bit of talk that he's getting tunnelled by opposition players. Is that right, or is he running under the board? Have you noticed last week?
I noticed his arms got absolutely slaughtered last week. They basically took an axe to his arm. There was lumberjacks trying to hack him off, and the umps would just play on. But no, I think I wouldn't say he's running under the ball. I'd just say because he's so long, it looks like he can get to that position where his hands are right and extended. So no, I don't think he's running under the ball, and he's still taking marks and kicking goals. So he's going to be impossible to stop. Adelaide are really good. They've got I wouldn't say they're star-studded. They're just really, really stacked. Talented. I said they were shit at the start of the year.
I know. I keep thinking of that, and I always respect your opinion. That's why you said that.
Well, they were, which was weird. But, they only really had, if you think about it at the start of the year, they had Dawson, they had Rankin.
There too.
And that was really it.
Stars, yeah.
But now they've got Peatling, who's dominating. They've got Neil Bullen, who's added heaps. Keays is now all of a sudden a star.
Yep.
Borlase and Keane down back, they're locking down. Butts is a really good defender. And then Filthrop and these guys have taken off. So where I was right at the start of the year in saying they were shit. But now I'm also right in saying that they're good. I'll take that.
Yeah. You know what you've done? You've sat in the same seat as the bloke that normally sits there, and you've come up with the same crap that he does.
No, I'm happy with it.
Not conceding you're wrong, then claiming you're right on both fronts.
No, I was correct because they were bad last year, and now they're young guys who have exploded. So well done, Adelaide. Congrats. Good on you. Well done, Adelaide.
Aspect Accounting says that, as I mentioned, the Bulldogs have a 1-5 win-loss record against top 8 teams this year compared to a 9-1 against teams in the bottom 10. So that's a bit of a change to the record they've got against the Crows. That being said, I like the Bulldogs. I do like the Bulldogs. I do think they are at their best if Darcy's, if he can go, we've got
Darcy,
Liberatore,
Norton, Libba, Bont, Fraser, Richards,
they've got
Dale.
You mentioned Richards. I think he's enormous to them, and he's been for a fair while. The one knock I've got on the Bulldogs is their back half. O'Donnell, good player, don't get me wrong. Lob's been really good.
Really good.
Does Liam Jones come back this week? He's been in the VFL.
He played pretty well in the VFL the weekend.
He's in his 30s, but they might need to stack up.
Their VFL stat line in their defence last week was enormous. Jed Busling had played really well.
Yeah.
Michael Selwood from Peel went over there. He's playing really well. Luke Cleary's back there playing really well. They got some good players to pick from their VFL to strengthen their back line. So you like the Bulldogs?
I think the Bulldogs, just concerned a little bit about their defensive setup, but I think the Dogs at Marvel are pretty tough to beat.
I agree with you, but I like Adelaide, and I think I've been always strong on Adelaide about how good they are. So I'm going to back in the Crows here. Jordan Dawson's the best captain, I think, in the comp at the moment. So maybe minus right. Noah Anderson's pretty good, but I'm going to go. That's the first time we differ. You've got the Bulldogs. I've got Adelaide. Moving on. Up to NG Stadium, where the Greater Western Sydney Giants host the Geelong Cats, 8th place, 4th, Saturday afternoon. This will be a good game.
Yeah, well, as you probably will, I saw them firsthand, the Giants last week against the Eagles. The Eagles were terrible, but Finn Callahan, just enormous. Question is whether they get some quality back and whether they lose Jack Buckley, who had that ankle. So selection's important tonight. Jesse Hogan had the foot. If he comes back, Lockie Whitfield should be right after concussion protocols. But if Buckley's not there, alongside Taylor, who's missing, that gives the Giants just a bit of vulnerability in defence.
I think Buckley has to jab and strap and play because he's got to play on the deepest forward. I think he goes to probably Shannon Neal, and then maybe a Connor Iden goes with Cameron up the ground, or I don't know how they're going to work that. But I think if no Buckley, then they're in a world of trouble down back. I think it's exceptional. Obviously, the Eagles weren't great on the weekend gone, but the way that GWS were able to move the football was lightning quick. You had that orange tsunami that was back, but Geelong are and always have been so good. Bailey Smith might come back in. Not sure what's going on with him. He could be laid out again. Who knows? I've just got him into my Supercoach team, so I hope he comes back.
Did Tyson Stengel miss last week as well?
Couldn't tell you with any certainty, mate. Couldn't tell you with any certainty.
I know that a couple out, including Bailey Smith, and for what it's worth, I think selection is, in terms of when the teams are announced tonight, that we'll pick a team now, but that will determine.
It'll mean nothing for Geelong because theirs is obviously fake and they make it up all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't worry about Geelong's. But if Buckley plays, it goes a long way. Up at NG Stadium, I think they're starting to fight. They're in the team one or sort of four that can drop out of the 8. So they need to win these games.
But their best is still very good.
Their best is exceptional.
I'll tell you what is exceptional, the matchup between these two. The Giants have won their last 3 matches against Geelong by an average winning margin of just 5 points.
Oh, boy.
For aspect accounting. So it just shows you these two teams, and you would have seen, and I think it was regarded at the time earlier this year in Geelong, and the Giants got a really good record in recent times against the Cats. One of the best games of the year in Geelong to knock them over. So they will have absolutely no qualms about taking on Geelong, but depends on the personnel for me. I'm going to pick the Cats on the basis that either Hogan or Buckley doesn't play. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say that Buckley and Hogan both play, and that goes a long way for the GWS Giants to win this one and really try and lock themselves into that 8. So you've got Geelong, I've got GWS. We move now to the MCG we'll just breeze over this one. This will take no more than, I'm going to give us a minute to talk about this. Richmond Essendon, worst game of the round, worst game of the year. Essendon will win. Thoughts? Yeah, Richmond have young side fallen off the cliff. Haven't got obviously Sam Lawler for the rest of the season. Yep. He's done. Nick Vlauston plays his 250th, I think, this week, and that's not insignificant. He's a star. He's been very, very, very good. Yep. He had 24 disposals against the Bombers in round 11. His most in 17 games against them. You're right. No, won't spend too much time on this. The Bombers were close against the Suns until 3/4 time. They fell right away. Had a couple of guys. Archie May had his 3 minutes in the sun. Yep. Very good player. Look, Essendon are the favourites in this game, I think. Very, very rightly so. But they've lost 5 of their 6 matches at the MCG this year by an average of 46 points. The only win came against the Tigers. On that basis, I'm going to go Essendon. You've got to pick Essendon. I just don't think this game are going to have many eyes on it. I'd be surprised if you get 15,000 to the G. Anyway, that's been a minute. That's enough of that game. Moving on, we've got Optus Stadium at 6:10 p.m. We've got the Hawthorn Football Club coming over west to play the Fremantle Dockers in what is a must-win for Fremantle. Yep, it is. And they've copped some flack after losing by 2 kicks against the Swans, haven't they? They won 6 in a row prior to that. Yep. Now Justin Longmuir can't coach. Yep. He's not the man for the job. They're not going to play finals. Well, bottom line is there's probably a few matches in the run home they have to win. This is one of those. Yeah. They've got 4 games or 3 games in the back. They have to win one of. They've got to either beat Hawthorn this week. They've got to beat Collingwood next week. Brisbane at home late. Then they've got Brisbane at home late. They're going to beat the Eagles because the Eagles are rubbish. And Carlton. They're going to beat Carlton because Carlton are rubbish. They've got then Port Adelaide. They've got Port Adelaide, who they probably will beat. They should beat them. They've got Brisbane. You know what's going to come down to win. It's going to come down to the last match, I think, of the home and away season for them against the Bulldogs. Yeah. So they've got to win one of those big 5 games. And I think this is the round to do it. They are back.
the backs against the wall is not the right way to put it, but they've just had 6 wins on the bounce. They've just lost to a Sydney who are a grand finalist team. Now they've got everyone back. They're going to knock some teams off in the back.
That being said, just quickly, in analysing this game, Sam Mitchell would have gone to work on what
they did Caleb
St
Sarong.
Kilda and what Sydney have done with Caleb Sarong and Jordan Clark. Is there a plan B for the Dockers to get around that?
Yeah, and it's a real response. They've got, Caleb is a star, no question about it. So is Jordan Clark. Caleb is a very good player in his own right, but he's still only 24 years old, and he has got it was 1 on 22 on the weekend. They have to fly the flag for him. I was big on this
physically
on Monday. Physically have to fly the flag. If that means getting a couple of fines away for a melee, you have to do it. The club has to have. Sam Mitchell would have a circle around Caleb Sarong's name from Monday this week. And it's all week, boys, this is who we're going at. Whether it's Connor Nash, whether it's Finn McGuinness, who knows. But there'd be a circle around his name. The same thing has to be said for JL. He has to have a circle around Caleb's name, being like, we're protecting this guy. He's our vice captain. He's our best player. We have to go about protecting him. We can't just leave him to the wolves to say, "I'll fight your own fight." Too often when people get tagged, the word is, "Oh, you've got to fight through it." Yeah, you've got to fight through it, but it's hard to fight through it when a bloke doesn't care about anything but stopping you from getting the ball. You need to have help. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Caleb get a heavy tag and to see there be a lot of fights breaking out this game, because Fremantle are going to go after whoever does it. And I think they're going to go after him really aggressively. I think they'll help him get off the chain. And I think Fremantle will win this game. Okay. I think it's a real energy, physicality, and a statement game from Fremantle here, because they've had a lot of doubters in the last week. And I think they're going to quash those doubts this weekend.
Well, could be wet weather potentially on Saturday night. Dockers have won 6 of their last 7 against Hawthorn, average winning margin 35 points. Interesting to see who Sam Mitchell puts to Caleb Sarong, etc. Luke Jackson, of course. Only question is with the wet weather, in brief.
Yep.
Jackson, Darcy, Voss, Amos, Tracy. Are they going to be too tall?
They are tall. I think Jackson, you take Jackson away from that because he plays however he wants.
Yep.
But the others are a question mark, I think. Amos needs to get going desperately. He's the one for me that needs... Pat Voss brings energy. Tracy's the guy. Darcy and Jackson can work. Amos, for me, needs to find a way to get going because they've got the tools for... The tall defence for Hawthorn is very good, but they don't have the 3. So there'll be one of those boys that can go big, and I think if Amos can start clunking and kicking them, then that'll be big.
Huge game. So Hawthorn come with a bit of a run at the moment. Yep. They're starting to build, and Mitchell's a genius as a coach, as we know.
He certainly is.
I'm tipping Fremantle as well, but there's it's a huge game for them. If they can get across the line, obviously they've got Collingwood the next week, but if they drop this one, Magpies away, then they start to get the deja vu from 2024, don't they?
Yep. So we're both going Fremantle.
With a bit of hope rather than certainty.
With a bit of hope. Big game. That's your Saturday. This is the Shelter FootyCast. Now we got Sunday. That's Sunday. A lot of games. Now that the buys are off, there's just a lot of football.
9 games.
9 games of football. It's excellent. It's the best. So this is obviously Sunday morning. This is the game of the round. No question about that. You've got Melbourne and North Melbourne, the boners. Last time they played each other, we beat the piss out of them.
You did it, Marvel.
We whipped them.
Yeah.
Just said, "Hey, boys, hold my beer while I beat you by 10 goals." And we just went whack. This time... I'm hoping for the same thing, but we've got Melbourne are the undeniable favourites going into this game.
I think in part because North Melbourne's pretty banged up, aren't you still?
Yeah, we're horribly injured. Really bad. LDU out with concussion. I don't know what's going to happen with Tristan Sherry because he looked concussed last game and he was they had to help him up and everyone on the ground was like, what are we doing with this guy? And he stayed out there, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with him. Jack Darling he's still out there. He's still out. We've got a Charlie Comben that's not playing. We're injured. We're injured to our best players. Wardlaw, I don't think's playing. We're hurt and we're banged up. But that's where we do our best work. Backs against the wall.
You've won about 12 games in about 4 years. I'm not sure you carry on about.
Well, we should have beaten the reigning premiers.
Should have. Look,
we drew with the reigning premiers.
You've played better footy this year for longer.
Yep.
You got beaten by Hawthorn by
that was tough.
A truckload.
Forget about that. Don't worry about that one.
Last weekend.
I've already forgotten it. I can't even remember. Don't worry about that.
You played last weekend.
No, we lost last weekend.
Yeah. Just the consistency of performance. Anyway, bottom line is Melbourne. The good thing is Melbourne have an inability to kick a score, and that's been an issue for them for a long time. Their midfield is still good. Look, they're competitive against Adelaide. I'm not going to linger too much on this game, but Melbourne have got more quality there on that basis, and
Yes.
I trust them slightly more than North, so I'm tipping the Demons.
I'm going to go the bonus here. I think we've got the wool over them, and I think we're flying. we were very close with the Bulldogs on the weekend, and Sam Darcy ripped us apart. And they don't,
that's right.
They don't have a Sam Darcy.
That was Thursday, week ago. So
they don't have a Sam Darcy. So I think we beat them.
Yeah.
There you go. Go the bonus. On we go to Marvel Stadium. We go from the MCG to Marvel. We've got St Kilda playing Sydney, 1:15, Sunday afternoon, in a snooze fest. This one, Saints aren't great. I don't know. Like, Ross Lyon tries to drag teams down. I think Sydney at $1.60. I don't know if we do our best of the day or whatever the hell you and Scully do.
No, we don't do anything. We just keep...
This is it. If you're looking for someone to back, Sydney here at $1.60 is just ridiculous for mine.
Okay.
They are back to their best. They've got Errol Goulden. The difference he makes to this football team is astronomical. The link up that he has between half back and half forward, their entry inside 50, their ability to move the ball through congestion. He's so skillful. He makes unbelievably good decisions. He's the guy that has made this team gel. So I just don't see a way that St Kilda don't get smacked here.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure getting smacked, but they certainly can't. They've lost their past four at Marvel, haven't kicked 75 points in any of those games, St Kilda.
Yeah.
Ross is just clinging to anything he can to try and keep matches close. So he's parking the bus. Sydney, I do agree, getting their best players back. Look, they're not playing finals this year, despite...
Well, they win every game they make it.
They're not playing finals this year, as I said.
They win every game they make it.
You think they can win every game?
I think they can win every game.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's too big. Anyway, but if that's the case, they deserve to get there. I can't see them doing it, but you're right, though. Having Goulden back in there, Grundy was terrific in the ruck. Him and Marshall on the weekend is going to be huge. Warner started to show, there's enough there for Sydney. You know the quality's there. Amadi's gone, I think, for...
Yeah, Amadi's out with a little niggle.
Well, I think he's...
A big one.
Big
was
niggle.
It a calf? Achilles, hamstring? I don't know.
It was...
To be honest, I don't really pay attention too much to the football.
It was a serious... I think he might be gone for long. Papley's out for a couple of weeks. So their forward line looks a bit less convincing this week, but I still think they'll be able to kick enough to win.
So do I. I think St Kilda have got a couple of really good players, like Wanganeen Miller is a star.
Does he stay?
Yeah, I think he does.
Yep.
I think they offer him... I don't think you need to go after TDK with all this money.
No, I agree.
I think you throw that money at Nazaya.
So what do you do with Ryan Marshall once TDK comes?
If he does come, Rowan would go elsewhere.
Geelong's been spoken about as a possibility.
But the fact that St Kilda have offered $17 million for Finn Callaghan over 10 years.
After seeing him last Friday, he's worth every cent.
Offer that same deal to Wanganeen Miller. If they haven't already, I'd be surprised. He's worth it.
Who would you take, Finn Callaghan or Wanganeen Miller? You take him ahead of Finn?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a huge statement.
I think so. Nazaya is so unbelievably talented.
Yep.
Finn is just an athletic beast who is very skillful, very explosive, very quick. Wanganeen Miller is next level skillful and talented. He's just got everything, and you can't stop him. Sam Mitchell spoke about it. The praise that Sam Mitchell gave him on the weekend was as good a praise as anyone's ever going to get.
Is he trying to get into Wanganeen Miller and try and get him across the road?
Maybe. But I don't know. They tried to tag him 4 different ways and he had 43 and was unbelievable. Yeah. So I think he's phenomenal. Max Hall's come out of nowhere
he's
as being
a good little forward, isn't he?
Yeah, 27 and kicked 3. So I think they're just a tall forward, probably short. They need a Max King back desperately. Tim Membry, they'd be ruining letting him go.
Yeah, you're right. King's the difference for them in attack. And I reckon Ross is doing what he can with a limited group of players. I think you're right, though. If the Saints keep Wanganeen Miller, as opposed to if they don't, will be a huge difference to their postseason and how the club looks and the prospects of them having any success moving forward. I'm tipping Sydney to win as well.
I'm tipping Sydney to win as well. Now we go to the last game of the round, Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide versus the West Coast Eagles. Can the West Coast Eagles do anything in this game to find their second win of the season?
Well, they'll be playing for one bloke. His name's Jamie Cripps. He's playing game 250. Of course, he's been at 2 clubs. I think he's only one of 9 who've got to that figure with multiple clubs. He's been terrific. He sounds like he's about to sign a new contract. Is that right? Is that wrong? There's some question marks over whether, at his age, should be a 1-year deal. All that's by the by. He's been a terrific servant. So if you're looking for anything for the club to live for it will be him. They do have to tidy up a couple of things, including their skills, which were woeful against the Giants.
They were really bad. And if you're thinking a milestone game is going to do it, I would look back at the history in the last 5 years of milestone games for the West Coast Eagles.
I know.
Josh Kennedy's farewell game, Shannon Hearn's farewell game, Shannon Hearn's 300th, they lost by 60 points to Collingwood. Luke Shuey's farewell game. They haven't had a great run.
So you know how Geelong lift and you see them.
Well, Paddy Dangerfield's 350th, but they mostly lift.
Yes.
West Coast, they try and lift. The effort's there usually on these games, but they're just not that. They're not talented necessarily enough.
This could be a snooze fest because we know that the Eagles are just limping towards the end of the year with no senior players. And Port, well, for their part, it's already thinking, what's Josh Carr going to do? We know that Chad Corns has been cast aside as an assistant coach, which is a big call on a bloke that's been at the right-hand man or one of Ken's
for a long time.
Lieutenants for a long time. Look at Radaglia out injured.
He's been in awesome form.
Sam Palpepper, thoughts are with him, done with the ACL. So Port, really, not a lot to play for a club that was, premiership window, and now almost heading
bottoming
rebuild.
out. But even with Port's injuries, I still think they've got far too much talent for West Coast. Like Butters, Horn Francis, Rosie. Boak's having an unbelievable season for his age. I think they're going to be far too good. I'd like West Coast to put up a bit more of a fight, which I think they will. But again, this one will be probably over at half-time and we go along. Before we finish, Skeep, that is all the games wrapped up.
Yeah, we've done that well.
We did that very well, by the way. We missed a couple of important things on the run sheet, 2 of them. We'll go to the West Coast Eagles because we're talking about them now. One of them, we've had 2 significant retirees. Well, 3 actually, if you include Dom Sheed, which you should. 3 significant retirees across WA this year. We've had McGovern, Sheed at West Coast, and we've had Walters for Fremantle. Sheed's the most iconic moment in almost football. You leave that. McGovern and Walters, where do they rank all time for you at their respective clubs?
At their respective clubs. Oh,
yeah.
We've gone through this before, I think, with Scully. And I've got both top 10. Is that okay?
I think that's top 10. I think Walters is 6 for me at Fremantle. Yeah. I think Pavlich 1, Fife 2, Mundy 3, Hazelby 4, Sandilands 5. Maybe those 2 can flip.
No, that's all sounds plausible. Yeah, I think Walters in that 6 to 10.
Yeah,
if you want.
And then McGovern.
McGovern's hard.
Gov could be anywhere. Who's your one?
At West Coast?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I had Chris Judd as the best Eagle I've ever seen. Yeah. And I had Peter Matera.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put Cuzzy, Cox. But the argument, and Kennedy could be in there. There's a range of players at the Eagles. Obviously, probably a bit harder at West Coast for the top 10 as opposed to Fremantle.
I think Gov is anywhere from sort of 3 to 10.
Yeah.
That's
And if you said 9 or 10 or you said 3, people aren't going to shout you down.
Yeah, exactly. So Sonny Walters has his farewell lap around Optus this weekend. So if you're a Fremantle supporter, get down and support one of the greats of the club. And then I imagine Gavin Sheeter will probably do that back end of the year.
Yeah, don't bring that up around Scully because he gets a bit disheartened, a bit grumpy when you talk about getting the lap of the ground and the car.
Because he didn't get one.
Didn't get one, and he's still burning about it. But anyway, he's only let that linger.
He should. So when they do it, because they'll definitely do it at Optus.
Yes.
And he will be, I imagine, on the boundary for Fox.
Yes.
He should just jump in the back.
Well, we've got to do something for him. Maybe just drive him around, I don't know, Lake Munga or somewhere that's going to have just take him in a little backseat of the car with Sid Nash.
Get him in a little tuk-tuk around Lake Munga.
And that'll do to Scully because he deserves...
He does.
He thinks he deserves...
He certainly deserves
I know he deserves it, but he thinks he deserves all the bells and whistles.
He does.
A state funeral like Shane Warne, but he's not.
He's not dead.
No, but he's just going to get under the radar.
I think we get him a tuk-tuk around Lake Munga.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Maybe Jack out of Lake.
Well, if I go to Bali with him, I might do something like that and maybe one of those little
mopeds. Take a moped around Canggu. Anyway, I don't know really how to sign this off. Do we need to thank anybody?
No, we need to thank Aspect Accounting. We need to thank Frothtown, of course.
That's
coming up very short.
That, yep.
Exactly. We're going to be at the Leadville
Hotel Wednesday the 23rd of July from 5 o'clock for the Derby preview show with the Wild World of Sports /BackChat /Shelter FootyCast.
And given the fact we had very little information at hand, Hammer,
very little.
Your first time as host,
actually.
Hammer the host, has done an honourable job. Good luck to you on the weekend.
Oh, yeah, against your
mob. Not too good.
The mighty Redlegs.
Don't go too well. I think you'll beat Perth, but that being said...
I think you guys are going to win the grand final.
I'll turn it up.
You guys are flying.
No,
you are doing very, very well. So it's a massive game. You're definitely going to bring a sound over to Perth this year, which will be nice for Charlie Constable. With this, how many games left? 6 games left. I think he could stop playing right now and win it.
Really?
He's been unbelievable. He's been so good this year. So he's been great. Parfitt's been really good for them. They are the only team that's beaten us in clearance all year. So I've got a chip on my shoulder this weekend going against them. But they're very good. And I know I said that to you at the start of the year as a joke to try and get your hopes up. But you locked in the finals, just pretty much.
Well, close to it, yeah.
I think you've locked in the finals.
A home final would be nice. Elimination
a
final.
home final would be nice. But Perth are playing finals this year for the first time since 2020.
Yeah, but 2020 was a dud year.
Okay,
It was
let's
COVID.
not count that. First time in a long time that Perth are playing legitimate finals football. There's a buzz around the joint, which is great. We played them when we lost to them at
Anzac Day.
Anzac Day.
Yeah.
Barra brought this shield out that's never been seen. We haven't lost to Perth in 20 years before that. I've played Perth 10 times in my career for East Perth and never lost to them until that day. And all of a sudden, Barra's blowing the dust off this shield. Hey guys, just letting you know, we found this in the back.
And a 10-minute speech.
Yeah, a 10-minute speech. Congrats on winning this memorial shield that we've never played for in the history of the Perth football club.
Oh, God love Barra.
Yeah, he's a good man. Anyway, it'll be a good game this weekend.
It'll be great. It's at your home deck. Whereas if it was the Pig Pen, I would have loved to have been there, but I was there last Saturday.
Having a few shelters.
Having a couple of shelters. By the way, Hammer, as said, great job as host.
Thank you.
Scully, he's just out of mind, out of sight, and you've done it well.
Thank you very much. See you next time. Okay, I won't. But anyway, see you.